First and foremost, I want to give all the honors and praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahisham, Yahavashai, Bahasham, Wahar, Vakar, Kodash. Honors to the apostles that are in the Holy Spirit, and to the hopeful elect across the globe, and to the few brothers and sisters that are listening and also learning. In hopes of being saved within these last days, man. And yeah, there's situations, right? And yeah, you hear people saying, yeah, it's a situation. But guess why the Lord Jehovah Shai puts us in situations? So he can show his power. He does that so he can show his power. In who? In us. So yeah, we're in certain situations, but the Lord Jehovah Shai is going to show his power through us. That's how he does things, man. He's going to show you who was right, who was wrong. You don't need to justify yourself. You don't need to justify yourself. I told you about the program. I told you how these people are used. I told you about this Babakasha. It's COINTELPRO and so forth. If you were this bad, evil person, really, really bad, really like bad, you wouldn't be out here teaching at all, right? At all. And within these agencies, when you actually see what they're involved in, what they do, is hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy. They ain't got nothing to say. They ain't got nothing to say. No, the situation, right? It's their situation. They got themselves into that. Why? Because they were being nosy. They listened to a rumor. That rumor wasn't true. Then years down the line, now they're stuck because they choose to listen to a rumor. This is what happens, bro. Then people find out down the line that was rubbish. That's what they find out it was rubbish. But guess what pride does? Pride stops one from admitting that. And guess what? You end up doubling down. No, but we got to prove we were right, or we got to cover it. This is what it leads to. This is what it leads to. This is why you got people panicking when I come out here with a Bible. With my Bible. No armory. No guns. Just the Bible. Because it's within the Bible that's condemning them. A lot of these people are condemned already. That's what's condemning them. We're going to go into the miracles because we're in a time of miracles. Yahweh Shai, miracles are being done. So when you go through persecution, when you go through slander, those things are done for the elect to show you that Yahweh Shai can deliver you from those things. We're going to go to Acts. Here's the example. All right? This example right here. Now, there was a lot of witchcraft going on in Acts 16:16. The woman that had the spirit of divination. And she was rebuked by Paul, right? But this woman had handlers. So it's the same thing again today. You also got people. This is a business. Also witchcraft today. There's businesses. It's a business. You got handlers. I don't like this person. We're going to send some witches there. Even within the police force, I've seen it. You have witches within the police force, brother. In the police force. They got your data. They can watch you. They can summon spirit. In the police force. But that's another topic. But this woman, Acts 16:16, she had the spirit of divination. She was rebuked by Paul. Why? Because she was following Paul. So who told her to follow Paul? It must have been the handlers, right? Hello? It's all right. I'm not asking. I've just said hello. That's all. I'm not gonna. You're not very busy. You're just saying that. So she was told to follow Paul. It doesn't say that, but you got to put two and two together. So there is people, there's handlers that will pay people to come your way and try to do some work or whatever. But the main thing is, Paul rebuked the spirit that was within her and is going to say what happened next. And it says, and she did many days. Paul, being grieved, turned and said to the spirit, I command thee in the name of the Lord, Jehovah Shai, come out of her. And he came at that same hour. When our masters saw that the hope of their gains was gone, it says masters. So who are these masters? These masters were handlers, right? There's gain in witchcraft. People get paid for this, bro. To try turn someone's life around, or try to call someone bro. This is what people get paid for, right? That's why I call it witchcraft. It's a craft. It's a craft. That's practiced. Okay. And it says, and this she did many days, but Paul. And when the master saw that the hope of their gains was gone, they caught Paul and Silas and drew them into the market unto the rulers. So they drew them unto the market unto the rulers. It says that. So guess what? They weren't too happy. Right? Their gains were gone. They were not happy with that. All them gains were gone. So that means they were not making money out of this young slave girl. And she was a slave girl. So guess what that means also? She was being trafficked. It says young slave girl in the scriptures. Go to the blue letter lexicon. She was a young slave girl. So she was being trafficked. But she had the spirit of divination on her. For profit for the handlers. Okay? Oh yeah. And it says, and drew them into the marketplace and to the rulers. In other words, tried to persecute them. All Paul done, this woman was following him, and he was fed up. All Paul done was rebuke this woman that had the spirit of divination and said, come out of her in the name of Yahushua. That's all he done. Now he's being true before the magistrate. Just because of that. She was following Paul. Paul had every right to do that. Every right. Why? Because she was a hindrance, man. She was a hindrance. Okay? To who? Paul. There's certain people that are hindrances to us. Check this out. We're going to continue. And brought them to the magistrate, saying, these men being Jews do exceedingly trouble our city. I want to slow down a bit with the words. Exceedingly trouble our city. Key thing, trouble. So you're gonna get people saying, oh, he's troubling our city. Oh, he's causing a lot of he's causing havoc. He's being a troublemaker. No, we're not troublemakers, but you can be deemed as a troublemaker when you're speaking truth. So they were saying he's troubling the city. No, he cast out a spirit of divination within this young slave girl because she was following Paul and she became a grievance. So Paul had to rebuke that spirit and teach customs which are not lawful for us to receive. Why did they say it's not lawful for us to receive? Because they were, as in Rome, they do as the Romans do. So the Romans had their own customs. Just like today, these people, the politicians, they have their own customs and principles which the people follow today. That's why Christianity, today, Christians are being persecuted for their beliefs. That's why you got people following you, because guess what? Because you're a believer. Has nothing to do with nothing else. Because you believe in Yahushua. That's what it's got to do with. And the people that run this society, they don't really believe in the Bible. They believe in the New World Order and Satanism and New Ageism. That's what they believe in. Neither to observe being Romans. So they were like, well, Romans, we don't want to observe the laws of the Bible. Same thing again today. And when he had laid many stripes upon him, they cast him into prison, charging the jailer to keep them. They laid many, you know what strap? They were beaten. What were they beaten for? They never done nothing wrong. So now, do you see what some of these men went through? This ain't going to be an easy journey. If you're one of the elect, you're going to go through similar things. And you can't find it strange. Huh? And it says, and the multitude rose up together against them. So you had multitudes of people rising up. We know there was a demonic influence behind that, right? Does this sound similar, brothers? Those of you that are going through persecution, this is why you're supposed to draw from the scriptures and get comfort. Supposed to get comfort from these things, man. And it says, Baba Kishar, check this out. And they cast him into prison, charging the jailer to keep them safely. Whoever received such a charge thrust them into the inner prison. It says, receive such a charge. They were paid money. So basically, this officer was paid money to put them in prison. That happens also with brothers, man. You think you don't have officers, not all, certain officers like, listen, we give you this much money. If you can get this guy locked up, we give you about, I don't know, so and so and so. Those things are happening. Those things are happening because the power of the word. Don't just think you're out here just teaching. Oh, I'm just teaching. It's no big deal. No, this is a big deal. You're teaching the words of Yahweh Shai. Excuse me just a minute. Got to drink them fluids today. It's very hot out here. It's a very big deal. A very, very big deal. You're a so-called believer. Back in the ancient world, guess what it was deemed as to be a Christian, a follower of the Messiah? That was considered back then as capital punishment. You know what that is? You know what capital? It was treason. It was considered treason. Because you would be in another person's kingdom, talking about another king, talking about a downfall of another kingdom. That would be considered treason. That's why. What was the public execution? It was a cross. You'd be hung on a cross. That was the capital punishment. So nothing is new underneath the sun, is it? Same thing again. That's why a lot of you, the apostles say, a lot of you don't even know what you're involved in. You have no clue what you're involved in. Okay? See what else we got. And it says, and you have received such a charge, thrust them into the inner prison, and made their feet fast in stocks. And at midnight, Paul and Silas prayed and sang praise unto God. And the prisoners heard them. Excuse me, and suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were opened. Okay? And everyone's bands were loosed. And the keeper of the prison awakened out of his sleep, and seeing the prison doors open, he drew out his sword and would have killed himself, supposing that the prison had been fled. But Paul cried with a loud voice, saying, do thyself no harm, for we are all here. So through prayer, guess what happened? The jail bars were broken. That's what level of power we're talking about, brothers. That's what level we're talking about. The jail doors being broken. And guess what? The janitor, the officer, when he woke up, he wanted to take his own life. Why? Because if the people found out, they'd wanna. That was a serious thing. If you were guarding something and the prisoners got out, big trouble. Big trouble. Okay. Big trouble. So it says, check this out. But Paul cried with a loud voice, saying, do thyself no harm, for we are here. When he called for a light and sprang in and came trembling, and fell down before Paul and Silas and brought them out and said, sirs, what must I do to be saved? And they said, believe on the Lord Jehovah Shai Mashiach, and thou shalt be saved in thy house. And they spake unto him the word of the Lord Jehovah Shai that were in his house. So there's also certain people, they teach in homes and houses. That's also a ministry as well, by the way. Yeah, you had apostles that were teaching in homes, houses. Oh yeah. And it says, hold on just a minute. And he took them the same hour of the night and washed their stripes and was baptized, he and all his straightway. So here it is, you had the officer that was washing the stripes of the apostles. What a miracle that was. Washing those stripes, man. And when he had brought them into his house, he set meat before them and rejoiced, believing in God with all his house. And when it was day, the magistrate sent the sergeants, saying, "Let those men go." And the keeper of the prison told this saying to Paul, "And the magistrates have sent to let you go. Now therefore depart and go in peace." But Paul said unto them, "They have beaten us openly uncondemned, being Romans, and have cast us into prison. And now do they thrust us out privily. Now verily, but let them come themselves and fetch us out." So that would be seen as an embarrassment. They would basically just let you go. Paul was like, "No, let them fetch us out and show the people what they've done." And the sergeants told these words unto the magistrates, and they feared. So you even had magistrates, they were fearing the apostles. You know, there's people in high positions, right, of government, higher up, that fear us. Why? Because we have the spirit of Yahushua with us. So of course they're going to fear you. And they're going to tread very, very carefully. Of course you're not in prison. Bro, I've dealt with police. Of course you're not in prison. Because they know they got to tread carefully when they're dealing with you. And you're not silly, and you got wisdom, and you don't conduct yourself like a criminal. Of course they got. Even the army, even they have to tread carefully. Everybody that deals with the potential members, they have to tread carefully. They can't just grab you, right? They have to tread carefully. All these people, they have to. You have to touch not mine anointed and do my prophets no harm. And it says, check this out. "And have beaten us openly, condemned, being Romans, have cast us into prison, and now they do thrust us out privily. Nay, verily, but let them come." And they came and besought them and brought them out and desired them to depart out of the city. They were like, "Please, just leave the city." Bro, do you see the power and the impact the potential members of the elect have? When you teach, even your voice, I don't notice it, but your voice carries power. There's power with this. Don't just feel, "I'm just teaching and nothing." There's power with it. Why do you think people are trying to get in your energy and try to lower that? Right? They try to get in your energy and lower you. Because anytime you speak, guess what's going to happen? Something's going to get shifted. So if there's lies told, guess what? Them lies are going to get shifted. But that's why you get people sent to get in your energy field to see if they can hijack it. But you can't hijack it. It's impossible. And you can't affect it. It's impossible. You got these community-based groups that are working with the government again, and they look like they're from a school. Some of these people look like teachers. That's where you get the word principal. And in school, who do you got to listen to? You got to listen to the principal, right? What the principal says goes. But that's worldly principles, man. Right? In high school, you have the principal, who's the principal's the head teacher, right? But if there's wickedness there, no, you don't listen to the principal. You listen to the principles of the head teacher, which is Yahushua. But we know a lot of people were raised up the wrong way. They were indoctrinated by this world. Think brothers are stupid. Well, they know we're not stupid. That's why they have to come sideways. We're not scared, man. You want us to be, we're not scared. I'm certainly not scared. And it says, "And the multitude rose up together against them." Imagine. Then you got people when they get in your ear. Well, what did they say? You're better off dying. You're better off. You know how they're talking? They're talking like you've got no hope or no chance. That's rubbish. It's rubbish. It's impossible. What's impossible? What's impossible? He don't stand a chance, bro. They don't tell you about the wins, though. Have they told you about the wins? Did they tell you about 2025? The wins, right? No, I don't mention my wins anymore. If I get a win, I don't mention it. What's the point? Because if you mention your wins, whatever they want to call it, guess what happened? They're going to come after you even more. Just keep it to yourself. Yeah, it looks like in a physical, oh, he's losing. Yeah, let them think that. It's probably more better that they think that. I ain't gonna tell them. If I got wins, I ain't gonna tell you. So you can sabotage it. But not always you make it out to be. Not everything as you make it out to be. I've heard different. Right? Sometimes you hear things, right? I've heard different. Some people have said, what, is he going to keep winning forever then? Is he just going to win forever then? Is he going to keep winning forever? So hold on. So who are these other people that say, oh, he's losing and this and that? No, I've heard people say, he's still winning. Well, I don't get into all that. I don't get into all that stuff anyway. I get into the holy scriptures. I don't get into who's winning, who's losing. I get into the scriptures. Okay? That's what I get into. And it says, and a multitude rose up together against them. And it says, and they went out of prison and they entered into Lydia. So these men, they traveled in different places. The apostles traveled. Yeah, they look like police. They look like ex-police, man. That's probably some ex-policeman, man. That's probably some ex-policeman. You know what I'm saying? But what can they do, bro? Just talk smack. They don't have no power, man. Yeah, it looks like ex-policemen, bro. I'm not going to pan the camera up on them. They look like ex-policemen. Probably are, bro. They probably are. Right? Bro, this program is shady. Shady. That was some ex-policeman. That was some ex-policeman. I believe it was. Three of them as well. I'm telling you, this program is shady. And guess what? Ex-policemen, guess what they have? They may have friends in high places. Ex-policemen have friends in high places. They don't just retire and that's it. Yeah, just be cautious. Don't be paranoid because ultimately, we're in the Lord Yahweh's hand, so you don't got to worry about nothing. Nothing, brothers. Okay? But they look like ex-policemen. Right? Okay? And we ain't giving up. The whole thing about give up. Give up what exactly? When they tell you, what are they telling you to give up? Your soul? Are they telling you to give up the Bible? Because this is what this society is pushing. It's pushing Satanism now. So don't give up. Keep going. Because if we continue, then Yahweh, guess what? He's going to reward us. Okay? Keep going, man. All right? And you know what other people are saying that? Because they gave up. They gave up. So in their mind, no, I can't see you doing it. That's impossible. Stop listening to those people, man. The good luck. Forget the good luck. You don't need good luck. Because in the scriptures, it tells you about the victory. It tells you already. Even in death, it tells you. Right? We have the victory. Those that were gotten a victory over the beast and his mark. It tells you that. So the outcome's already been written. So there is no losing. There is no losing because it tells you about the victory. So what are these other people saying? They're trying to cast doubt. That's what they're trying to cast. Doubt. You know why? Because things got hard for them. And they know about the program because I believe everybody's put for this program. What happened? It was about a month, week. They started bitching up, crying like a bitch. A lot of pressure was applied to them and they folded. So when they see you, that's strong, mentally, physically, intelligently, guess what? They don't like that. Because they're like, hold on, how comes he done it, but I didn't do it? That's how they're thinking, man. That's how they're thinking. So they're like, no, that can't be right. Something's got to be wrong. No, they don't want to admit it. They don't want to admit it. Because now they're going to have to question their reality. Why did they give up so early? Why did they give in? It's like it's too good to be true. No, if he can't be that powerful, then they start asking questions. Well, what did he go through? Has he got the V2K? Has he been through the torture? Have they done this? Brother, yeah, they've done pretty much everything to me. You name it, they've pretty much done everything. I've been through the ringer. Because you know they ask questions, well, has that happened to him? Have they done that yet? Yeah, pretty much every torture method you can think of has been done. Electric shock, right? Sleep deprivation, device to skull, they're hitting you in your head with frequency. What else? What else? What else? The mobbing, you name it. Once you overcome all that, bro, you've mastered it. You pretty much mastered this thing. That's why they gotta try to belittle you, because you've beat that. But they don't want to admit it, bro. They don't want to admit that you've already won. So it's that pride, because we know the devil's very prideful. Narcissists don't like losing, do they? You need to be overcome. So we're not in a spirit of victim. Now, the people that are doing what they're doing, they've been victimized. They've been victimized. So what they've been told is to victimize you. But I'm not going to allow that. And Yahushua is not going to allow that. They've been victimized, man. You know? Victimized to us. That's what's happening, bro. But the elect are not that. They're not victims. So I'm going to shut off here. Lord willing, this was edifying. And until the next time. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom.